permutations versus fundamental counting principle. So we have our permutations and our fundamental counting principle, and I've kind of made our formulas here. Here's our permutation formula. It is n factorial over n minus r and all of that to a factorial. And fundamental counting principle, I've just used essentially the idea of a factorial, n times n minus 1, n minus 2, all the way to n minus n, which would equate to be the value of 0. Actually, it's not quite n minus n, because you wouldn't multiply by that 0. So I should take that out. So what we have here is we have 7 socks. So say we're going to put them both through this question. And the question maybe reads, how many ways can we choose 7 socks? So, and in our permutation, we should denote that n is the number of choices. So number of choices. And r is the number you choose. Number chosen. Let's see. Okay, so we have our 7 socks, and if we're using fundamental counting principle, what that means is we're going to choose all 7 socks. So we have our places. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so if we choose one of the pairs of socks, so who knows which one we choose. Let's say we choose this guy. Well, with first choice we had 7, so now we're down to we had 7 choices, and then once we cross that out, we're down to 6, and then once we've done 2 of them, we're down to 5. Once we've done 3, we're down to 4, and then that pattern continues, right? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So here's our fundamental counting principle. And it's essentially the idea of 7 factorial. It's the exact same thing, right? Because when you choose, at first we have 7 choices, but once one of them is chosen, then we only have 6 choices. Once we get rid of another, we're down to 5. Okay. If we were to put that into the formula for a permutation, very similar. We have 7p. How many ways are we going to choose 7? We have 7 choices, and we're deciding to choose 7, so that gives us 7 factorial over 7 minus 7 factorial, okay, which means we get 7 factorial over 0 factorial. Now, a side note, it's important to know that 0 factorial is actually equal to the value of 1, okay? And we know a lot of times 0 is, we multiply it 0, but it's actually equal to the value of 1. So in this case, what that means is our permutation is 7 factorial, which is identical to what we got for our fundamental counting principle. Let's say we have the same idea, but we've decided that we're only going to choose 3. How many different ways can we choose 3 of these socks, okay, out of a total of 7? So how many arrangements can we get? So that'll be our second question here. So we're going to say we are taking 3 of 7. Okay. Well, with our fundamental counting principle, it's the same idea. Okay, we have our 7 socks. We're only going to choose 3 pairs. 1, 2, 3. So I've set it up. In our first choice, we have 7. We have the ability to choose from all 7 socks. Once one of them has been chosen, we only have 6 socks to choose from. And then once that's been chosen, we only have 5 socks to choose from. Okay, so that ends up being, I think it's 210. I didn't do the 7 factorial. We could put it in our calculator and figure out it from above. There it is, 7 factorial. 15120. Just in case you want to know. 1520. Okay, 15,120. Okay, so we have 210 ways according to our fundamental counting principle. If our permutation, okay, we have 7 choices. How many different ways can we choose? 3 of them. Well, that gives us 7 factorial over 7 minus 3 factorial. Okay, and I'm going to work this out the long way. We know this is 7 by 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. On the bottom, I'm just going to side note, we know 7 minus 3 is equal to the idea of 4 factorial. So 4 factorial is 4, 3, 2, 1. Because of our rule of multiplication, it doesn't matter what order we multiply in, and because this is dividing, we can essentially cancel out some of our numbers on top and the bottom. We know that these 1s will cancel out. These 2s cancel out. The 3s cancel out. And the 4s cancel out, which leaves you with 7 by 6 by 5, which is identical to our fundamental counting principle here. Okay, so both relatively being the exact same thing, just depending on how you see the question and set it up.